Hey guys, NTT83, Non-Tactical Tailor 83 on Instagram, doing a quick video on my top alternatives to the AR-15. So we're going to start out at a mid-tier, budget-friendly option and work our way up to more of a high-end, or what would be considered a high-end option. So first on the list here is the Wolf A1 upper. Now this is not a complete firearm when you purchase it, but it does attach to a standard AR-15 lower. So this is imported from Taiwan and is a piston-driven 16-inch upper, which they come in various lengths. That's up to you to decide which version or length that you want. And it connects to, again, a standard AR-15 lower, so you get the compatibility with AR-15 magazines, Magpul, aluminum, USGI surplus, etc. You pick and choose whatever stock you want. There's a website, T91 Tactical, that offers original Taiwanese parts or reproductions of the parts that would go on the original Taiwanese T91. So that's pretty cool. It's an extremely reliable platform and it's fun. So if you already currently have an AR-15 and you want to stick with the magazines or modularity with being able just to use a current lower and swap out uppers, then you have that ability to do so. The grip I have on here is from T91 Tactical, and so is the carry handle, which is detachable. So you already have a flat top. It just goes on there with the basic screws. So you already have an A3 style upper, which you can attach, carry handle, standard AR-15, backup iron sights, Magpul, whatever you want, Daniel Defense, and piston driven. So fun, reliable. These run about $550 for the upper and various different lengths. I've only got about 600 rounds maybe through mine so far, but it has been highly reliable up to this point. So top pick for affordability reasons. Next up on the list, you have the Ruger Mini 14. Now the Ruger Mini 14 makes this list because of the pedigree and background. All these firearms have been checked prior to filming, by the way. So the pedigree or the background on the Ruger Mini 14 is pretty cool. You can pick these up at a decent price, around $600, $700. Police trade-in market, sometimes even lower. Mine is a police trade-in. You can tell with the vent rib up here. You have plenty of stock options. Magazines are a little bit more expensive. They're not the most accurate gun in the world, but 2 inches at about 100 yards. But the pedigree behind these were actually used, the fully automatic versions and some semi-automatic versions, in Rhodesia. The Bermuda military currently still uses them, and back in Soldier of Fortune magazine, they were pretty popular for being used in conflicts over in South Africa. So cool pedigree, very classic looking rifle, and extremely fun to shoot. You get a different style action than the typical just piston driven. So I mean, it is, get a different feel with the action you do with a standard AR-15, or even with the the piston driven Wolf A1 upper. You still have the buffer system in it, like going back and forth, and the bolt carrier riding through there, so you do get a feel of an AR-15. This is a completely different alternative to the AR-556/223 market. Pick up you a surplus sling and you're ready to hit the range. Before I get into my number one pick, the second two picks are going at more of the higher end of the spectrum, and that is the Steyr AUG, which has a extremely extensive pedigree since 1978. This is the A3 M1, which basically means flat top. It's the newer version, wearing a Leopold CQT. This is an extremely fun gun to shoot. I've owned the Desert Tech's, Tavor's X95s, the PTR, or not PTR, Keltec bullpups, and I have continued to go back to the AUG, so I plan on holding on to this one. There are plenty of parts and accessories out there. The only drawback is they are expensive, and you do have a bullpup design, so you have to get used to magazine changes and different controls. However, extremely fun, and it's an AUG. I mean, there's not really a whole lot more to say. They've been featured in plenty of movies, video games, used by special forces around the world, and different militaries. So, great option. Second, I don't know if I can find a place to sit that where it's not going to fall. Still, not my top pick, but another great alternative. Yet again, looking at more of the higher end range here is the TAVOR SAR. Now you throw in both bullpups have horrible triggers initially. $100 2020 precision sear on the AUG, you get like a 5-pound trigger, not bad. On the TAVOR, you drop in a Geisley trigger pack, brand new, they're $350, used usually about $100 to $150 on the market. You can also swap out the trigger pack for the X95 pack, which is pretty cheap, and you get a 4-pound trigger all day long, which is better than most AR-15s. It's a Geisley trigger pack. You just pop 2 retaining pins out, pull the old trigger pack in, throw it in, the new one in, and now look at that. Get that reset. So, yet again, higher end. When I'm saying that, I know some people dropping $2K on a gun is nothing. For me, to drop $2,000 on a gun is quite a bit of money, but I don't have that in either one of these platforms. This TAVOR SAR here I had actually sold, ended up getting it back for a steal because I had a firearm a guy really wanted, and he didn't care about what he had in this. He just really wanted my gun, so we did a trade. Now, my number one pick, for multiple reasons: extensive pedigree in the military, and just I love the AKM platform. So my number one pick to an alternative to the AR-15 is, again, more of a mid-tier price range, but just to show you guys that it is empty, is the Galil clone or a Galil platform style rifle. Reason being, I do love the AKM platform. These are in 5.56. They use American receivers and barrels. This is an ATI Galeo, by the way. There's a long reason why I own this one. But they use Icon weapon barrels. They use American receivers. Since 2019, when they introduced them, they've done a lot of upgrades to the specifications on the receivers and the manufacturing process to where they now run off surplus mags right off the bat with no type of tweaking or modification by the end user. The stock is, every component in this firearm minus the barrel and receiver is sourced from an Israel surplus gun. Initially, I had believed that I was overgassed because I was talking to Austin at Galil Hub, because originally this was a T&E gun. I was going to do a review and a test and write up a whole article, which I did end up doing, but due to some reasons I can't get into, it's not going to happen. Not on my end, but on the end of the manufacturer. Not manufacturer, but I can't get into it. So if you look right here, that's the only wear. I mean, we're looking at close to 1,200 rounds. That wear on that lug is typically a sign that you're overgassed. So what I did was KNS piston, which ended up having to be turned all the way off for the firearm to function. So what I then did was went with a Wolf extra power spring. That polishing there on that rail or lug started at about the 200 round mark. It has then, since after the 400 round mark, it has not evolved whatsoever. It has not continued. So I think I am good to go. This has been a highly reliable firearm out of the box. It functions off the Tapco magazines as well as every surplus magazine that I've tried in it, except this one. Now, this magazine was purchased from Apex Gun Parts as a project magazine. It was listed under unserviceable. I don't quite know what is wrong with it. There are some dents and dings, I think, that are holding up the follower, but what I do is use it as just a display mag. It's got the cool numbers on it. My handle is non-tactical Taylor 83 and TT 83, and so it's got the 83 on it. I use it as just I'm not going to try to get it serviceable. You have a significant dent here in the front of the magazine, which is probably what's causing the follower to get jammed. So outside of this one magazine, this has been a highly reliable gun. Guns.com has these for $1,100, right around the $1,200 price point, and ATI will match that if you contact them, and you can buy directly from them. You have an option to get these when they're available in wood or polymer. Fab Defense makes a pretty amazing handguard that you end up mounting optics and a light to for about $70. Outside of that, it's just a good old-fashioned Galil clone. 2019 had some significant issues from what I understand. I owned a 2020 production Galeo when they first came out, and I didn't have any issues with mine. Mine ran perfectly, but I started to see some typical wear like you see on an AK-74 or a Galil, and I got freaked out. Thought that I was going to have a cracked trunnion and got rid of it, and I regretted it. Contacted Jamie Ramos over at ATI. I had some extensive conversations about their process improvements and was like, forget it. This is what I want. This is the route I want to go. So there are other routes out there. Icon weapons for about $1,700, which is the higher end. The old Galani, if you can find a GLN serial number, you're a 50-50 if it's going to run, or a brand new ATI, for about $1,100. That is my top pick. Affordability cost-wise, the Wolf T91 or A1 upper kills it all day long. I don't know. That's just what I wanted to do the video on. My top alternatives to the AR-15. I just tend to collect the carry handle AR-15 guns, and I have for a while. But now they're popular and cool, so now I get to post cool shit on Instagram. But my collection has been owned. I think I have 2 new carry handle pieces in the last 5 years, but all that's been prior when no one wanted them. I just thought they were cool. So looking back on my collection, now I get to own some of the cool stuff, but before that I wasn't a cool kid. One last thing to mention real quick. If you go to purchase one of the Wolf A1 uppers, I don't have an affiliation with this company, but I mentioned in my last video, Unbranded AR offers engraving services. Now that I'm thinking of it, I may go ahead and order one of their lowers for my Wolf A1 upper T91 upper, so I have the appropriate Taiwanese T91 markings on the lower. Right now it's on a JMac lower, nothing wrong with that, but it would be cool to have the original or something similar to the original caricatures of the T91, so I may go that route. This is my Colt 635. If you guys haven't seen this before in a video, it is a South American surplus complete kit on a unbranded AR lower. The name of the company, I'm not just saying unbranded as in it's unmarked, the name of the company is Unbranded AR LLC. So this is runs off the Colt Stick magazine, just like the SAR 109T, one of my favorite PCCs that I've ever owned. Traded it off to a buddy, was lucky enough for him to be an amazing guy and get it back to me. So now that she's back, I still am keeping my SAR 109T because I absolutely love it, and it's been nothing but functional for me. This one just has a really cool history behind it. It has, some, let's see if we can zoom in. Yeah, it's got some markings there on it. Then you actually get, A1 and Colt markings on the receiver. Then of course all the Colt, markings on the barrel, the bolt, the trigger, the fire control group that came with it is not able to be used because it is a it's a 3-round burst fire control group. So I did have to use a aftermarket Colt fire control group for this. Outside of that, just a cool PCC that's not part of this video, but the lower is, so if you want to go the route of the T91 over here, it gives you a good alternative and a good way to get a lower. If not, get on like PSA, order a stealth lower that's unmarked, and throw you one of these babies together. I have mine looking more classic and traditional, but if you want, you could go full mag pull stock and everything, make it much more tactical. But they are very enjoyable to shoot and very reliable. Like I said, again, piston driven system here. It breaks down just like any other AR. 550 bucks. The only difference is you can see you don't have a gas. The gas key looks different because it's piston operated. Outside of that, thank you for watching. Hit the like and subscribe, or if there's some comments in the section to let me know what you're thinking about the videos. Hopefully the audio quality has improved and you guys have a great day. I'm still recovering from the flu, so I know the audio quality with my voice isn't going to be that great. But I wanted to do a quick video. I was laying around a lot thinking, hey, what is something that what is some information that I wish I would have had someone tell me about? And there are more guns than just the AR-15 for 5.56. There are also several AK variants that I would have liked to throw out there, but these are my top picks. But I really do highly recommend like the Mini Baril. They're $1,100. The Zastava M85 is a great alternative. And the Zastava M90, the rifle version. Amazing alternatives to the AR-15. I just don't own those currently, so I didn't bring those out, because I didn't want to borrow something that I haven't shot extensively. So these are the ones that I have that are my top picks out of my collection or from my experience for the alternative to the AR-15. Affordability wise, again, this baby right here wins it. Next in line would be the Ruger Mini 14, just because of the pedigree, the history, and if you're into the AKM world, the Galil wins, in my opinion, hands down. Now, monetarily, if you have close to the $2,000 mark to spend or can trade with a local shop, go with the Bullpup. They're fun, they have amazing pedigrees. You have the Tavor with the IDF and extensive history and testing over there. And then you have the AUG that's been in service since 1978 and has seen massive changes throughout the world, and pretty much has evolved along with it. Very little evolution within the internals of that, just a few small minor tweaks, honestly, but still an amazing pedigree of a gun. Very fun to shoot. Get the NATO version that takes AR-15 mags, standard AR-15 mags as I did, and you're ready to go. Thank you for watching, and I hope, again, my audio quality is improving, and hopefully my voice will be back to normal in a few days.